I don't know what's more confusing, learning astrology or just being a human. Moonday Musings is here to help with that. A weekly, no bullshit guide for the upcoming cosmic forecast and how you can actually use this in your real life. Well, hello, neighbor. Happy Monday and happy Moonday, my friend. Welcome to another episode of Moonday Musings. If you've never been here before, welcome. Welcome to our witchy little neighborhood. I'm Danny. I'm that witch next door. I'll be your host, your guide, your mentor, your instructor, your spiritual bestie, if you will, in all things modern witchcraft and cosmic living. If you are a regular listener of Moonday Musings, hello, welcome back. I missed you last week. And if this is your very first time happening upon our wonderful little show here, don't forget to hit the follow and subscribe button, whether you are listening on your favorite podcast platform or you are viewing the full video over on my YouTube channel. I'm so glad that you're here. So this is going to be kind of a different type of moon day than we normally do. And that's because we're adapting right now. We are adapting to life. We're adapting to life, my friend. So last week, something very, very exciting and also very big took place for my family and I. And we welcomed our next fur baby into our home. We rescued a little 6-month-old pit bull mix puppy from a friend of ours out here who is fostering her. So we are in puppy land, and especially we got her, let's see here. We got her on Tuesday, July 1st. I had already been taking a little miniature podcast break. At the time, I had only planned for the week. And sorry if I'm even misspeaking on my dates right now because my brain's a little bit scramby. But I had planned on pausing the podcast for about a week just because Jenny, my wonderful multimedia witch who does all of my video editing, she was out of town. That was only like our second week of summer or something like that. So Blair and I were transitioning into summer together. It was easier to just kind of put it off and wait. We were planning on adopting a dog a little ways through July. And then it was just one of those things where the pieces kind of all fell into place. And we ended up bringing her home July 1st. And were immediately thrown into, transitioning a rescue puppy into our home. And I am going to be full on honest with you because I am hoping that in my story and share today, that there are parts of it that you relate to or you connect with, that you can find insight or maybe even inspiration from for yourself as well. But let me put it to you this way. Yes, I've been in chaotic puppy land. This is also a really, really overwhelming time. And that is very, very reflected in the astrology right now. And I had a really hard time because I love the first moon day of the month episode that we do together. I know that you love the first moon day of the month episode that we do together. Whenever it's a big favorite like that, it's really, really, really hard for me to take a seat on it and skip it. And I also was in a state of total nervous system overwhelm and then shutdown. I really was left with no choice, quite honestly. But we have had some big things already taking place. We're not even that far into July, and we've already had, by the time you're hearing this, I guess we're about halfway. But when I'm recording this, we're only a week into July, and so much has happened. so much in the astrology, and I am sure that you are experiencing it and or witnessing it in your own way as well. I hosted the Capricorn full moon shadow work group call for that witch school members last week during the Capricorn full moon. I was kind of at that time that's when I'm recording this right now. I'm just kind of coming out of baby steps, coming out of nervous system overload. But when I got on this call that I hosted, everybody, and I mean everybody, is feeling, sensing, experiencing, again, or witnessing these major, major feelings of total overwhelm, disruption, unearthing, big time right now. And, for the first few days, I really, really made it about the dog, about like, this is because this is so hard with a puppy, and can I do this? And the last time I had a puppy was 10 years ago, and that was Tootsie, our dog that we lost last year. And when we got her, we were not parents yet, so I didn't have Blair yet. So this is the first time having a puppy and a kid at the same time, and teaching not just a puppy, but also teaching a kid how to have a puppy at the same time. And I also, my anxiety grew to a point of like feeling unbearable. Like it was going to collapse me from within or completely eat away at me from within. And I had all the, not just the mental and the emotional symptoms, all the physical symptoms that go right along with like horrible, strong, unrelenting anxiety, including a massive disruption in my sleep schedule. And again, that's not even, this is where I started having some of my biggest realizations, because she is, other than one night, she sleeps through the night. And, she might like move a little bit or whatever, but she sleeps on her bed through the night. And everybody else was sleeping through the night. It was only me. And I really, really, really had to confront that. Well, on the 7/7 portal on Monday, July 7th, I had a recording date with Ashley Michelle of formerly of Starseed Shadows, now of Ascending with Ashley. We are still doing all of our Astrology After Dark episodes, and that is what we were recording with each other. We had some plans for what we were going to record that day, and then when we met with each other, Ash was like, table that, we'll record that next time. I'm going to talk about this shift of Uranus moving into Gemini today. And as soon as she said that, I had been out of touch with astrology for a solid week at that point and had totally forgotten about that. And as soon as she said that, I was like, oh my God, no wonder I am so aware of my nervous system right now. So incredibly aware of my nervous system right now. So essentially, once I was able to recognize, okay, this is my anxiety and it's stemming from and coming from somewhere. And yes, it's hard to have a puppy. It's hard to transition your life. And, when you rescue a dog, all of these things are true and are valid. I knew by that point that I had been blowing things up, or my mind was just blowing things up. And it dawned on me, finally, that the last time I had a puppy, the last time I had a newborn child, I was not sober. And I was numbing out all the time. If I had a feeling I didn't want to feel, I sure as fuck didn't have to feel it. And for me, my crutch that I reached for was alcohol and binging. And that always inevitably spinning into a daily thing over and over again. Because guess what? Guess what's the truth about shitty emotions and unexpected things coming into your life? Like, there's a reason every day to numb out. That's the truth. If you want to look for it, there's always a reason to numb out. So at this point, I started realizing, oh my God, now that I have 3.5 years of sobriety under my belt, I am feeling the full extent of some of my emotions, if not lots of my emotions, for the first time. And something that's been shared with me in the recovery world is, as you step away from your old coping mechanism, for me, that was alcohol. That could be something else for you. As you step away from it, and the more time and space that's in between, you utilizing it and you not using it anymore, your nervous system, your mental capacities, your physical capacities slowly grow and expand to what you can now handle. Your tolerance kind of expands slowly over time. And it can be fucking scary. It can be really scary. That anxiety, I realized I hadn't felt anxiety that strongly since I was probably in like early high school, which was, when I started binge drinking. But because I was in high school, I didn't have access to it on a daily basis by any means. And so I struggled with my anxiety a lot in high school. And that it felt like being right back there. I'm really excited to share with you, though, that even amidst all the shadows that have been brought up for me, in realizing, oh, the reason I'm feeling so much of this is because that's how much I numbed out during these other big and, yes, stressful, but also beautiful other times I had. First time I got a puppy, first time, having a newborn after I had my daughter. It hurt really bad, realizing how not present I was because I was numbing out so much. And at the same time, I was reminded by a very good friend of mine, and I was reminded by some friends in the recovery world, that I'm not even thinking about taking a drink over these things. So again, it might be a drink for you, but it could be something else. And I want you to know that when you shed an old version and an old lifestyle and old habits, it is this incredibly liberating thing. And at the same time, you will go through experiences that test that and push your boundaries and confront you with things that you maybe haven't confronted in a very long time, or maybe even ever, depending on how long you've been running from them, how long you've been numbing out from them. So this Uranus in Gemini, a lot of what sparked all of this realization for me is Uranus is this planet of disruption. If you want like a nice big full breakdown of my thoughts and Ashley's thoughts on Uranus and Gemini, I have the link in the show notes below. Definitely go check out the Astrology After Dark episode that we dropped last week on Uranus and Gemini. It's so good. It was so magic that we recorded it on the day of the 7/7 portal, on the day that Uranus moved into Gemini. But when this air planet of Uranus, which is a planet of totally unpredictable disruption, moves into an air sign that is Gemini, this sign that is very, very associated with our mental capacities, our curiosity, our learning, our mental health, our nervous system, how we cope with what our nervous system encounters. I realized that over these next 7 years or so that Uranus is going to be in Gemini, I think this is going to be a very big theme. And that's why I wanted to start out talking about this today, because I don't think this is the first or last time. I don't think this is the last time something like this is going to happen during this transit. And I think it's going to happen to a lot of us, if not all of us, in some form or capacity. Because like I said, when I hosted Shadow Work Group Call, it was so good for me because I had just been like, again, in the throes of puppy land and like only at home. I hadn't been able to work in like a week or whatever. And it was good for me to come out and like talk about astrology and lead some people through some healing work. But bigger than that, it gave me this beautiful gift of perspective that can only come when we connect with other people, when we share space with other people in safe community. Because every single person, like I said, every single person that talked during that group call that day was experiencing what I was experiencing. It was just related to whatever event was triggering that for them in their life. For me, it was a puppy. For somebody else, it was moving. For somebody else, it was their best friend moving away. There were there was disruptions in relationships and in friendships and in financial areas, in careers. The common thread, though, was massive upheaval and total overwhelm, triggering most of us into fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, right? Those survival responses. And I mentioned this in the episode with Ashley about Uranus and Gemini. Again, this is on Ashley's podcast, Ascending with Ashley, Astrology After Dark. It's linked in the show notes below. I talked about the importance of caring for your mental health, paying attention to your nervous system, getting to know it, listening to it, not just paying attention to it, but actually listening to and following through with its needs. And I think that this is going to be one of the biggest ways that Uranus and Gemini disrupts things for us, is it's not going to let us sweep those things under the rug like we maybe have for a very long time. And I want you to know that that disruption is so we cannot run from what's harming us anymore and allowing it to continue harming us. So with that, I'm going to very briefly talk a little bit about some of the astrology for July. So this isn't like an official first moon day of the month episode. It's also not like our quintessential just, some astrology news of just the week. I want to talk a little bit because there's a good amount going on in July. And then I want to round us out with, of course, a card pull here. So first and foremost, we've got some retrogrades happening starting this month. On July 4th, Neptune stationed retrograde in Aries. July 13th, so yesterday, depending on when you're listening to this, Saturn stationed retrograde, also in Aries. And this is fascinating because Saturn and Neptune are friggin' on top of each other in Aries right now. And not only are they already merged and on top of each other, now they are both retrograding at basically the exact same time. Mercury stations retrograde. That is coming up on July 18th. And Chiron stations retrograde beginning July 30th. Now, let's see here. Saturn By the way, if you're a person who likes to take notes for stuff like this, this would be an excellent time to grab a pen and perhaps even your planner or a calendar where you could make note of this in. You can also take like a screenshot if you're listening to this on your phone or something to get a little picture of the timestamp right now so that you can come back to this point in the episode later and then jot these dates down for yourself. It can be really helpful. So Saturn, let's start with Saturn. So Saturn stationed retrograde yesterday, July 13th. And it will stay retrograde until November 27th of this year. It will retrograde back into Pisces, by the way. So those of you with Saturn in Pisces, your Saturn return is not over, my friend. Saturn's going to dip back into Pisces, and you're going to finish out some Saturn return stuff before it stations direct, and eventually it will move on and into Aries, and it won't go back into Pisces again. Now, Neptune, again, stationed retrograde July 4th, stations direct and moves forward again December 10th. So both of those are kind of chunky retrogrades. They are going to last us essentially until the end of the year. Mercury is going to be our shortest retrograde period, okay? Its retrograde cycles don't last very long. It stations retrograde on July 18th, and then it stations direct on August 2020. No, I almost said 25th. Sorry, it's because it's 2025. August 11th is when Mercury stations direct and moves forward again. And then our last guy is Chiron. Chiron, again, stations retrograde July 30th, and it will station direct on January 2nd, 2026. I wanted to make sure to mention this today since we didn't get to do, since we didn't get to do our usual episode with each other at the beginning of the month where I would have gone over a lot of this in super depth. I wanted to mention it today that basically for the rest of the year, we've got some big planetary energies that are going to be retrograde. And there will be more as time goes on. There's other planets, they just don't station retrograde in July, but they'll start their retrograde cycle in another month moving forward. There's going to be a pretty good amount of retrograde energy for the rest of 2025. And what I want you to remember is that the purpose of a retrograde, this is something that I learned from Colin Bedell of Queer Cosmos. I've utilized this in my astrology study and practice forever now. When a planet stations retrograde, that is our opportunity to be in a place of reflection, review, re-examination, re-evaluation, and reconstruction, redefinition. It is no secret that we have a lot happening in our world right now. And here in the United States, we have some major issues with our government and systems in power. I really make a point on my show to talk about things in a really specific way because I do believe that I get to be a person that has the views and the beliefs that I have, on my own as a person, and that I'm not obligated to explain myself or to justify myself. And so I speak about things in a very specific way. I also do this because as somebody with a Gemini Mars and my Mercury in Scorpio, I'm able to deliver information in a way that is both very, very truthful, but it can get a lot of people to listen that believe different things. I've had that kind of talent or skill for a very, very long time, and I've utilized it here in the neighborhood many times. And I just want to clear a few things up. I have these things, listed out on my website. You can go read these things about me and my About Me. It's not something I talk about on the podcast, but I do have it. I'm sure if you've been listening long enough, you've gathered different things that I personally feel. But I do not identify either as left or right. I haven't for a very, very, very long time. I'm actually a very anti-government person in general. And I believe so strongly in manifesting a future where we find a way that our corrupt government dissolves itself or breaks down and something new emerges. And I think whatever emerges is going to be something we've likely never fully seen before. It might be bits and pieces of other philosophies and other systems that have been tried before. But I don't know if it'll be in our lifetime or not. And it very well could be, and it might not be. But I don't believe in some immortal eternity of the U.S. government as we know it. I don't believe in the immortal eternity of any organized government. If you look throughout history, that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Everything is always eventually coming and breaking down so that something new can be born. And we are in a time, my friend, of the breaking down. Absolutely. I do want to make it very clear that, I don't personally identify as a Republican or a Democrat. But I do want you to know some things about this space here and about your host of this space here. This is a pro LGBTQ plus community and space. Period. This is a pro-Black space. This is a pro-people of color space. This is a pro-Indigenous persons place. And recognizing marginalized groups and being aware and truthful about the nature of how marginalized groups became marginalized in the first place. I want you to know something. I know that we are in our witchy spiritual community, we tend to be very, very anti-capitalist. I want you to know that this that we have here in the US is not capitalism. And if you look into the definition of capitalism, that ain't what's going on at all. We are under the facade of capitalism that is actually completely just monopolized and ran by big corporation in bed with big government. And I don't believe that capitalism is the answer by any means. I just want you to know that this is not capitalism. This is the result, this economic structure, this social structure that we're in, this is a result of corrupt, organized government. And it is under this facade of capitalism, which is supposed to be a free market, essentially, where the transactions that take place within that are between the people involved in those transactions. And that is not the case here, because our government has all kinds of influence and imposition and control. It is not a free market by any means. And once again, let me make myself clear. I am not saying that capitalism is amazing and I'm not defending it. I want to paint some accuracy around this. And the reason why is because the more we move into Age of Aquarius stuff, and I feel like Uranus and Gemini is another one of the catalysts of that, along with Pluto in Aquarius, for example, I'm very passionate about we need a new system. We need a whole entire fucking reboot. And the truth is that's going to come from a complete breaking down. I am not educated nor equipped to be able to tell you what exactly that should be. I do, however, believe that something I have that skill in that I mentioned is helping people to keep an open mind. Because one thing that our organized governments do very successfully is convince us that the only options that we have are the options that are available to us, that they make available to us. And essentially, those options they continue making available to us are self-harming on us as citizens. And so therefore, I believe that the solution that exists is not even in existence yet. Because the only solutions, big air quotes, that keep getting presented to us are coming from the same place. I don't care how you vote or how you identify politically, but I want you to ask yourself, if you are feeling so fucking frustrated that at the horrible things that are taking place, and that even when somebody else has been in office, things don't actually change. Why does it always feel like no matter what, we stay on this? Because this is the problem I'm just getting real bold today. I've never shared this stuff on the podcast. This is the problem with the two-party system. We as witches and magic makers and people in the spiritual community, we talk so much about bigger than the binary and breaking the binary. And we are so coded and programmed and frankly brainwashed to participate in one of the most binary systems ever. So again, do I have the solution? No. But here's what I do have. I want you to let yourself get frustrated. I want you to let yourself feel some of the hopelessness, meaning, let me explain that. I want what's going on and these feelings that it brings up in us to get us so frustrated, to get us so hopeless that we honestly start opening up to complete new territory. Something completely new. Because I'm sorry, the same fucking archetype of a person going into office over and over and over again. And listen, I'm going to be very blunt about this. This is like one of the worst, if not the worst, presidents, in my fucking opinion. And I don't even give a shit. I don't care if you don't like that I say that, or this is a place you go where we don't get political, and I don't get political very often, but I'm disgusted by the choices that have been being made by this administration since inauguration. And I'm so at my wit's end with it. And one of the only ways I feel like I can be useful is being honest about my views and helping other people get into a more open mind to receive the ideas that there could be something bigger than a two-party fucking system. And the only way that that system eventually comes down is if enough people start seeing the problems with it and talking about it and getting disrupted by it and getting frustrated and getting infuriated and feeling hopeless by it, because those horrible, shitty feelings that we hate, that maybe we've numbed out for a really long time, and now we're starting to open up to feeling them to the full extent, even though those are some of the shittiest feelings that we hate and we want to run from, they are the types of emotional states that get us to do something fucking different finally. That get us to think different finally. Get us to have different conversations finally. And if it's one thing that in whatever way is giving me some kind of hope, maybe it's a dark, morbid type of hope, but still, if it's one thing that I'm starting to see and getting a little bit of hope in, it's that people are letting their frustration, their disgust, their intolerance help open them up to conversations that they weren't open to before. Maybe even with people they weren't open to having conversations with before. So I hope this episode clears up, who you're in community with here. And also, I hope this helps you feel a little bit validated. And I want you to know that I'm with you in the disgust. I'm with you in the intolerance. I'm with you in the hopelessness. And as fucking hard as it is to trudge through emotional states like that, they are the emotions that get us to do things different. So that's what I wanted this episode to be about. Do you see why your life getting disrupted is so important? This started for me as welcoming a new dog into the home and that disruption to my life and my routines and this unearthing of this ungodly anxiety that I have. But the truth is it's so much bigger and deeper than that. And whatever it is in your life, whether it's a dog or a car or a job or a relationship, the moving, traveling, I want you to trust the disruption. I don't want us to run from the disruption and numb out the disruption anymore, because it's the disruption that we need, because fuck the way things have been going. Let's fucking disrupt it. I think that all this retrograde energy throughout the rest of this year, we're going to see a lot of challenges with it, of course, like we do. But I think we're going to be in opportunity for some serious reevaluation, reexamination of how we have been thinking, how we have been feeling, how we have been acting on our thoughts and our feelings, how we have been responding, how we have been taking action. So, yeah, I don't really have a nice little tie off there. Let's do a card pull. Today, we're going to round out with a double oracle card reading. I never do this. We always do tarot and oracle, or just tarot or just oracle. But guess who jumped out today? The Work Your Light deck and the Spirit Allies deck, because that's exactly who we need right now. We need to know who our spirit allies are that we can call on, that are assisting and aiding and guiding us right now. And then I love using the Work Your Light deck for a message, honestly, of hope and motivation, because amidst hopelessness that gets us to catalyze some change, a spark of motivation can be a beautifully powerful thing. All right. Before I open up the cards for you here and share with you why I'm giggling, I want you to give yourself an opportunity to kind of reset your energy really quick. I want you to roll out your shoulders, your neck, your ankles, your toes, whatever you need to, even if it's just closing your eyes, even if it's just like some intuitive somatic body swaying right now. Reset your energy a bit. Take some nice, deep breaths. Oh my God, I swear we just got this card not that long ago. This is hilarious. Jesus. I want you to take some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. You can even pause this episode right here so you can really elongate this nice little cleansing reset exercise for yourself. And whenever you're ready, I want you to open yourself up to any guidance, any insight, any messages that you may be needing or seeking at this time. So, of course, we would get such a powerful reading from Double Oracle Day. This is hilarious. So, our first card, our spirit ally that just came out, is Gemini. So that was the first thing that made me laugh because of this entire conversation of Uranus and Gemini. I thought this was really, really cool too. On a personal note, because I do have Mars in Gemini, and I think this is where this skill I've been talking to you about very much does come from. I also think that that's really indicative of all of us tapping into the Gemini in our charts. I don't give a shit if you don't have any Gemini placements. You have Gemini in your chart, my friend. And it's activated right now by Uranus being in Gemini, my friend. So here is the Gemini card in the Spirit Allies deck. Gemini is the twins. And the affirmation for Gemini is, I speak my truth. With curiosity surging, the twins run hand in hand through the open-aired field. The pair was created to explore the world together. If there's one thing for certain, the two will find out whatever they can and share their truth with others. Gemini is the embodiment of inquisition and truth. This sign taps into the desire to grow and expand the mind, from personal thoughts down to absorbing knowledge from a new book or podcast. Gemini is here to remind you that there is an opportunity to always uncover more. Dive into your passions and topics you care deeply about and learn all that you can. Gemini wants you to understand that with knowledge comes the ability to create positive change. And when you speak your truth, there is much power to be held. Now, our Work Your Light card we pulled, and again, I'm 99% sure we just pulled this not that long ago, is the Age of Light card. The Age of Light card says, you have been training for this for lifetimes. Mystics and sages throughout the ages have predicted this period in history, and you decided to incarnate in the middle of it. There is no mistake that you are supposed to be here at this time of great change. If you ever feel unprepared or daunted by the path that is calling you, know this: you've been training for this for lifetimes. You're way more than the days that you have breathed. You're way more than the days that have breathed through you in this life. You're also all of the lifetimes that came before. All of these experiences have polished your soul into the most magnificent expression that is your authentic self. Your soul has many facets. Imagine a fingerprint. Your soul is 1,000,000 times more intricate than that. If you put together all of the fingerprints of all the people you have been, you would not even get close to fathoming how much of a unique masterpiece you are. You came in with a clear soul plan. You came in with wisdom beyond your years. This is the part of you that longs to be seen. This is the part of you that is ready to step forward, that is ready to emerge. This is not the lifetime to stay hidden, but to step forth, be seen, and rise. Gaze upon the card and say, I call forth the soul gifts and soul training that I have received throughout all of my lifetimes. I am ready to embody them all now without hesitation and without fear. I have been training for this for lifetimes. Right? Like, are you serious? Could these have been more on point today with everything we just fucking talked about? Jesus. Don't be afraid to do a double oracle reading for yourself. I love when oracle decks get on the same page like this. I love this so much today with everything going on this month. Moving forward, how we're all feeling, how we're each uniquely and collectively experiencing all of this. I want you to know something, my friend. You're not alone. You have community here in this wonderful neighborhood. You do already make a difference. How you think and how you feel, paying attention to that informs your actions. And as many of us are in a deep massive shedding and transition. I want you to trust yourself. I want you to trust new experiences. And I want you to trust the power of an open mind and open communication. You would be surprised at what you can learn and what messages you can effectively get across, what inspiration you really can pass on. Even in somebody that might seem like they think completely different than you. Not all of the time, but more often than not. At the very core of it and at the very end of the day, regardless of who we are, how we identify, how we vote, most of us want the same thing. Most of us have the same fears. They come out and they're attached to very different looking things than each other. But most of us want the same thing. And I hope that amidst everything, we're able to start seeing humans for humans, having more and more conversation, approaching new ideas with curiosity, so that we really can try some different shit out that's never been done before and forge new paths. Thank you for being here today, for being in space with me, and for allowing me to share my thoughts and beliefs and my world with you. I'm very grateful for you, neighbor, and thank you so much for being here. Right now, as we're in my little personal transition period over here, like I said, we might be doing about one episode a week while we're redoing our routines over here, which is okay. I think that episode is going to be Moondays because we all need Moonday. But there will be other episodes of That Witch podcast that come out here and there. I think that once summer's over and the school year starts, we're going to find some good regularity again, and we'll be back to our usual 2 episodes per week. But I just wanted to be completely transparent and honest. We're probably going to do just 1 episode per week. It'll probably be Moonday. And there might be unexpected weeks that come up that I'm not able to record an episode. I'm always available and active and participating in That Witch School, of course. If you love what we're doing here and you want to grow your magic and grow with a safe community of like-minded folks and practitioners and witches like you, we have that safe space, my friend, and it is profoundly and strongly protected by yours truly. Because the sanctity of that community means more to me than most things. And I think it is in safe community and in these conversations, we are going to see some of our biggest transformation and growth, both on an individual level and as a collective. Any information that you need is all in the show notes below. And you can always reach out to me too if you have any questions. But thank you for your time, neighbor, today and every day. It means the absolute world to me. I'll see you next time. And until then, make sure, my friend, that you stay safe. You keep having some fucking fun. And stay magical, my friend. What is That Witch School? That Witch School is my magical monthly membership that combines safe, welcoming, nurturing community with quality, ethical witchcraft and astrology education. This is like Patreon meets social media, but better. We have monthly calls hosted and guided by myself, as well as multiple instructors within our school. An incredibly beautiful and supportive community of like-minded witches, all built from the neighbors within our neighborhood right here. Plus, there is a just astounding library of resources and content that is always growing, and so much more. you can go back and listen to my episode on the podcast called Welcome to That Witch School 2025 for all kinds of details and information on the membership, the different plans you can subscribe for, pricing, and frequently asked questions, everything that you need to know. Or you can always send me a direct message or email if you ever have any questions. You can get my contact information in the show notes below. And when you're ready to join us, you can go to thatwitchschool.com and find the plan that works for you and join our magical community today.